Greetings. We are here to discuss on the message of Fatima and the relevance in today's world. We have here before us our International President, Professor Americo Pablo Lopez Ortiz from Puerto Rico. He has traveled to over 78 countries in doing this missionary effort to spread the message in over 41 years. We also have before us our International Director of our International Secretariat from Fatima, Mr. Nuno Prazeres. So welcome to all of you all for this program. Now, Professor Americo will speak to us. Can you explain to us what is the World Apostolate of Fatima?
Of course, thank you very much for the invitation. The World Apostolate of Fatima is the reply of the Church to the pleas of Our Lady of Fatima, where Our Lady was sent to earth by God to spread a message of hope, peace, and salvation for humanity in our days of spiritual and moral crisis. The World Apostolate of Fatima is a public association of the faithful of pontifical right that is focused on the new evangelization through the authentic message of Fatima, doing ecclesial work and working hand by hand with the hierarchy of the Church to spread the good news of salvation, both using as the charisma the message of Fatima, since the message of Fatima is the echo of the gospel of Jesus Christ in our days. And this echo was prepared by Our Lady herself. Who better than the Mother of Christ to adapt the gospel of her Son to us and to our needs in today's world. The World Apostolate of Fatima also stresses the importance of formation of families, so that the family will come to the Church and will receive this good news of salvation. This is what was intended by Our Lady in Fatima, that the children, the three little children shepherds, would attract their families to God and will be closer to God through this wonderful message. And I would say that the World Apostolate of Fatima is present in 120 countries and has more than 20 million members all over the world.
Yes. Thank you very much, Professor Americo.
You're welcome.
Can you tell us what is this message of Our Lady of Fatima and what is the relevance in today's world?
Well, I would say first that the message of Fatima and the advocation of Our Lady of Fatima is not a mere advocation, one more of the many advocations of Our Lady in the Church. This message brings the gospel of Jesus to our needy world. And the message requests for petitions from Our Lady that will make possible the four great objectives of God through the message of Fatima. The first one is meditative prayer. Through the meditation of the Rosary, we will achieve peace, peace of the world. The second is the sanctification of our daily duties, is the acceptance of God's will in our lives by bearing our own cross and following Christ as disciples. This is the part of the message that deals with our daily offering to God. The third part is consecration to God through the Immaculate Heart of Mary, which will make possible our holiness, will make possible our entrust to God And fourth, it is the communion of reparation of the first Saturdays. Our Lady requested 5 consecutive Saturdays that we will go to confession, to Holy Communion, pray the Rosary, at least 5 mysteries, and make meditation and reflection on the mysteries of the Rosary for 15 minutes in addition to repair her Immaculate Heart and accompany her in her solitude. These petitions of Our Lady are directed to specific objectives. As I said before, the sanctification of our daily duties is to obtain holiness, personal holiness. The consecration to God through the Immaculate Heart of Mary is a renewal of our baptismal promises in order to serve God and be always at the service of God. And finally, the communion of reparation brings the great grace of final perseverance to those practicing this devotion, so that they will receive all the graces needed for their salvation at the hour of death. At the same time, it's related to the conversion of poor sinners, it's related to world peace, and very important, it's related to strengthen the universal church by making possible its unity against inner dissension, against the magisterium of the successor of Peter. These promises from Our Lady are describing a new era for humanity, an era of peace and happiness, what we call the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Welcome.
Nuno, since you are from Fatima, Portugal, do you have some connection with the Fatima children?
Well, first of all, I would like to greet all those who are watching in this program. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to share together with our international president about the message of Fatima and about the work we do there in Fatima. Yes, indeed. My grandfather, whose name was Manuel, was a close friend of the 3 little children of Fatima, Francisco, Jacinta, and Lucy. So, in a way, I feel privileged for having a relative that spent lots of time with them. We're playing together, we're going to the same church, and that then learned firsthand from them about the message of Our Lady of Fatima. Including the fact that he had that opportunity and privilege to be present on October 13, 1917, during the apparition where at the end there was this extraordinary sign from heaven, the miracle of the sun. My grandfather was there, and what I can say is not a protagonist, but he has inspired me also in my vocation to serve Our Lady of Fatima, as I now work for many years for the secretariat of our apostolate in Fatima, and I draw inspiration from my grandfather, from the fact that I live there in Fatima and go often to the shrine, and that gives me the strength to continue sharing the love that Our Lady has shown to us in Fatima, to all the people whom I meet, including now here in India, where we came for this seminar, and also to know a little bit more the activities of the World Apostolate of Fatima in India.
Thank you very much, Nuno. Can you tell us what is your work in the International Secretariat, and also, since there is a connection between Goa and Portugal, there are many Catholics traveling to Europe on various pilgrimages. So in what way you can connect with all this?
Yes, any organization, big organization like ours, international as it is, needs to have a secretariat that is in a way the heart of this apostolate. It's based there in Fatima, where we have our headquarters. It's a place where we welcome the members of the World Apostolate of Fatima and many other pilgrims. And in this secretariat, what we do mainly is to keep contact with our nation members around the world, to keep this flow of information from what is happening in Fatima and from the life of our apostolate, so that we all, as an international apostolate, an ecclesial movement working on behalf of the church and within the church, we all follow the same track and speak one same voice on the authentic message of Fatima. So this is basically my work, together with my colleague Anna, works with me. But then, apart from answering emails, welcoming people, producing a magazine, and being in contact with all the nation members, we have a special role, that is of welcoming groups of pilgrims that want to be in Fatima, not just as mere tourists, but want really to come and learn more the message, and also to be enriched by it, so that their lives can be transformed by that same message. So what we do is we have a program, a wonderful pilgrimage program, composed by the International Apostolate, which is unique. We won't find it from travel agencies, because we add to it, first of all, what is specific of our apostolate, but also a personal touch by the fact that I am there, my colleague is there, and my colleague, by the way, her grandmother was the first cousin of Saint Jacinta and Saint Francisco Marto.
Oh.
So we together welcome the pilgrims, organize all the logistics. They stay at Domus Pacis Hotel, which is the headquarters of our apostolate, and we offer them a beautiful program where they can participate in the celebration at the shrine, they can have a formation talk, they can visit the sacred places, so it's really unique. And I take this opportunity really to invite all of you who may be interested to come on pilgrimage to Fatima, to do it through our international secretariat. You may contact Dr. Celso Diaz, who is the chairman of our apostolate in India, and coordinate with us, as we will be very pleased to welcome you there and enrich you with this message that Our Lady gave. And it is a message that is not of the past, although that's more than 100 years after the apparition, but is very relevant, very actual for nowadays.
Yes, thank you, Nuno. Coming back to you, Professor Americo, you did mention that Our Lady's pleas was on the first Saturday devotion. Is there any more desires of Our Lady which will glorify the Most Holy Trinity, and any more areas are there wherein Our Lady wants us to respond to her call of 1917, especially for these times?
Yes. I think that the most important part of the message is that requesting conversion of the human heart. We need to open our hearts to God's grace and mercy. This is a time of grace and mercy. The whole world must turn their hearts to God, because otherwise, if we continue living in this lifestyle, getting apart from God by sin, by terrible social sins that we have in our respective societies, we will endure the consequences of sin. So Our Lady came to Fatima to prevent these terrible consequences of war, of persecution to the church, of famine, of destruction of peace on earth, by destroying the relationships between human beings, between families, inside the family. All these are consequences of sin. So the message of Fatima requests a response from all of us, individually and collectively. We must change our lifestyles to come closer to God, to have our metanoia, our transformation, to become other Christ, so that at some time we will be like St. Paul, It is no longer me who lives in me, it's Jesus Christ who lives in me. So the request of Our Lady is to have a religious experience that we call the religious experience of Fatima, where the human heart is open to God's grace and mercy, as the hearts of the three little children shepherds of Fatima were open to the influence of Mother Mary. From the Immaculate Heart of Mary came a light that was Jesus himself, and this light trespassed the hearts of the three children and changed their lives forever. They saw God with the eyes of Mary. They participated in the beatific vision of Our Lady, and they contemplated the mystery of the Most Holy Trinity, receiving special grace of comprehension of this mystery that they were not allowed to reveal to anyone. This is what we call the religious experience of Fatima. We almost have this same experience, the experience of the opening of our hearts to the influence of God's grace and mercy, while there is still time, as Sister Lucia wrote in a letter to St. John Paul II. There will be a time when there will be no more opportunities, that we will receive what we deserve, that the consequences of sin will manifest its terrible power of iniquity. Before this happens, we need to convert ourselves and turn to God. If we convert ourselves, we will receive grace and mercy, and the whole world will be transformed in an era of peace, of happiness for humanity. So the message of Fatima really stresses on the importance of our own transformation, the inner transformation coming from the heart. This is the most important part in the message of Fatima.
Good, very good. Thank you very much. Can you tell us, Professor Americo, we have the three shepherd children and their spirituality. In brief, can you tell about each one of them?
Yes. Well, first about Jacinta, who was 6 years old. Jacinta was a little girl that had a special vocation to missionary work, to apostolic endeavors. She was a preacher, and she preached the gospel of Jesus for conversion of the adults. She had that special grace that she could read the conscience of many. If someone did not have a good confession or deviated the confession of their true sins, trying to, because of some kind of embarrassment, trying to deform the real facts about their sins, Jacinta would go to this person and would say that you have made a bad confession, you are in danger, because if you die with this sacrilege in your heart, you will go to hell. So please, convert yourself, go to confession, say the truth about the specific details of your sins. Imagine when such a little lady spoke in this way, people run to have confession again. So she had a special vocation to active life, the vocation of active persons that have apostolic task inside the church in order to become missionaries and bring sinners to the grace of God. On the other hand, Francisco, who was 9 years old, was almost the opposite. His vocation was to console Jesus hidden in the Blessed Sacrament. His vocation was to contemplate the mystery of God. He was a contemplative. He was not attracted by active life or missionary work. So he preferred to console the good Lord for the sins of many. Lucia was like the combination of both. She was the messenger and the apostle of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So she was, in a way, a missionary. But at the same time, she had the vocation of a contemplative sister. She was a Carmelite and she lived in the cloister of Coimbra in Portugal. So she combined the best of both worlds, the best of both vocations in the church. She was a Carmelite, she was a contemplative, but at the same time she was a missionary, in the sense that was in the past Saint Therese of the Child Jesus, who, being a Carmelite nun in a cloister, was also the patroness of the missions of the church. This is the great life of these three little shepherds. The first two were canonized by Pope Francis during the centennial year of the Fatima apparitions in the year 2017. Sister Lucia lived for 99 years, and she wrote so many things, beautiful things that are not public yet. Her relatory of virtues and also the analysis of her many writings will take some time. This is why she has not been beatified yet. But this process is already in its own track, and miracles have been submitted to the Vatican, to the dicastery of the causes of saints for the beatification of Sister Lucia. I could say that when she is canonized, Sister Lucia might be declared by the Church a doctor of the Church because of the quality, the profoundness, and the great quantity of writings that she has offered the Church. And as Saint Catherine in the past, Catherine of Siena, she was also the counselor of popes in our time. And she had a beautiful correspondence with St. John Paul II, where she responded to all his questions and helped him in the governance of the church.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome.
I would like to go to Nuno back again. Can you tell us the structure at the international level? You have the international secretariat, and who is the church head, and how is the structure in the nations and the dioceses?
Well, the World Apostolate of Fatima International, like many other ecclesial organizations, needs to have a proper structure in order to function. So ours is not different than many others and follows really the way the church is organized. So we have, of course, the International Secretariat, as I said, as the kind of executive heart of the apostolate to coordinate activities together with our International Board of Trustees, which is headed by our international president and has 9 members from different countries representing the regions where our World Apostolate of Fatima. And so together, these boards of trustees with the secretariat, they make the guidelines, the pastoral guidelines that should be implemented by all nations. And so this board of trustees has the responsibility to supervise and also to guide each nation member so that they implement what is required and what is needed for a proper apostolate to function. So apart from this, there's then in each country, because each country that is a nation member has its own structure, hierarchy, so to say. Usually our movement is a movement that starts at the grassroots with prayer cells. So usually that's in the origin of our movement. We have members, individual members that come together, they make the pledge of the World Apostolate of Fatima, and then they come together also to pray, to meditate on the message of Fatima, to reflect on the Bible, and also to make a resolution so that it doesn't become just a pious devotion, but really from what they learn from the message of Fatima, they can reach out to other people and they can do charity and have also a compassionate and missionary activity. So these are the prayer cells which are established everywhere around the world, and then from there these parish cells usually are based at the parish level. There can be 1, 2, 10, 15, and as they grow, then they also need to be coordinated at the diocesan level. And for that, it is also elected a diocesan committee that coordinates all these prayer cells, and they have meetings for formation. And then again, within the country, you have from the parish goes to the diocese, and then you have a national board. That is, all the dioceses coming together, having representatives coming together to define what is the pastoral action of the World Apostolate of Fatima. Always in connection with our secretariat and our international boards, which ultimately has the final responsibility to oversee what is being done in all countries, so that no nation member falls away or moves astray or deviates from what is the authentic message of Fatima. So basically that is the hierarchy we have, and works well, and that's also the reason why we were here in India for this third Asian Regional Congress, precisely to coordinate, to oversee, and to help the members to get again new zeal, new ardor to continue their mission.
So at the international level, the Bishop of Leiria Fatima is the ecclesiastical. What is the term? Is it
Yes,
ecclesiastical?
he's our ecclesiastical moderator.
Okay.
Now Cardinal Antonio Marto, Bishop of the Diocese of Leiria Fatima, he is the ecclesiastical moderator. So it means that the fact that we are based in the Diocese of Leiria Fatima, where the apparitions took place, he is our direct moderator, the one whom we refer for the life of our apostolate. But besides him, and this is also important, we are an international association of the faithful, which, as Professor Americo already said here, is a member of the Pontifical Council, the Dicastery for Life, for Laity and family. So that ultimately it is under this dicastery that we pertain, and that we also follow their guidelines to work, because we work within the church. We work when it comes to speak about the message of Fatima, we are this voice on behalf of the church to spread it and to help people to live it in their own lives.
Yes, so very nice. It's nice that we have gathered information in short about the message of Fatima, what was the original message, what is the application in our day-to-day contemplative life, and also the spirituality of the children. Thank you very much.
It was our pleasure. Thank you so
Welcome.
much.
Thank you.